Hi everybody, I hope you all had a great week. I quickly want you to think about one thing that stood out to you this week, one highlight of your week, and then tell the person next to you. One thing that I've noticed this week is that our mornings are definitely getting colder and we can see that our seasons are changing. I'm so excited about today's lesson. I'm going to show you a quick picture of what today's lesson is all about. And I wonder if you can guess what it's going to be. Yes, you guessed it. It's going to be about Noah's Ark. But before we talk about the lesson, let's do a song. This is a new song. So if you don't know the song, listen to it and hopefully you'll know it next time. You can always take the video back and listen to the song a second time and then sing along. I think we've all read about the story of Noah's Ark at some point in time. Hey, I don't think this is a new story, but there are some pretty important lessons for us to remember about Noah, the person that he was, and the story that's happening in the Bible. So we are going to watch a video today, but before we watch the video, I want you to think about the following things. This story is not a story of judgment. But the story of Noah is a story of grace. God, in his kindness, gave all of humankind a chance to repent of their sin. Noah preached to them for years, but they didn't listen. And eventually, God just had enough. But in his grace, he spared Noah and his family. We don't want to highlight Noah as a hero, but we do want to acknowledge that he was righteous, but more importantly, he served God, he obeyed God, and he worked with God. God's holiness, His justice and grace are the true highlights of this story. Here are some important things for us to remember. Noah didn't need God to prove himself in order to obey him. Instead, Noah trusted in God's character and obeyed God's command. The second thing that we have to remember is that Noah's life is an amazing picture of the truth that we are saved by God's grace through faith. Just like Noah, our only hope for salvation is the grace of God, not our own efforts or strength. Out of every single person on the planet in that point of time, God found Noah to be the only one worth saving. While Jesus has already saved us, we still want to live a life in a way that pleases God. So how can we live a life like Noah? First of all, we need to be righteous. Righteous is a big word, but it means that we are obedient to God's word and we do what is right. While our right standing before God comes solely from Jesus' sacrifice, we still want to live in a way that honors His sacrifice by avoiding sin and doing what is good. The second thing that we can do is to be blameless. If we are following God and behaving righteously, it allows us to live confidently with integrity, knowing that no part of our life is hidden or done in secret. And then the last thing that we can do is walk with God. The true power of the Christian life is found in a close relationship with Jesus Christ, our Savior. When we live every day with God on our mind and in our hearts, it helps us to be better at hearing the Holy Spirit and following His guidance for our lives.
After creation, after Adam and Eve, and after Cain and Abel, more people started to populate the earth. The more people there were, the worse things got. Adam and Eve had sinned, and now everyone was born sinful. People became wicked and evil, and soon forgot about God. There was at least one family who followed God's way: Noah, his wife, and their 3 sons. They were faithful to God. They served God. One day, God spoke to Noah and gave him an incredible task. God told Noah that he would punish the world because of its sin and send a great flood that would cover the entire earth. God told Noah that he would spare him and his family, and that Noah should build a big boat called an ark. God told them exactly how to make it. They were to leave room for themselves, as well as a lot of animals from all over the earth. They began construction on the ark right away. It was hard work. They had to do it all by themselves, and it was a huge boat, hundreds of feet long. The people thought Noah was crazy. They laughed and made fun of him. But Noah preached to them and told them to repent of their sins and obey God. The ark was almost done. As Noah and his sons put the finishing touches on it, the people continued in their wicked ways and paid no attention to God's warning. When the time came and the ark was complete, God sent 2 kinds of every animal in existence to the ark. That was incredible. Noah and his family, as well as all their animals, were to stay on this big boat until the flood was over. 2 kinds of every animal had a place on the ark. 2 by 2, they got onto the ark. Giraffes, elephants, lions, kitty cats, turtles, worms, bears, birds, and everything else. And then the flood came. As the first sprinkles of rain splashed onto the ground, the people knew they were doomed. The ark's door was closed, and Noah and his family were safe. Huge fountains underneath the earth opened, and a torrent of rain gushed from the sky. Puddles grew into ponds. Streams formed into rivers. Rivers roared into the lakes. The lakes rose, connecting to form an ocean that covered the whole world. Everything was underwater. All the people who rejected God and made fun of Noah were dead. Only Noah's little family and his floating zoo were alive. They sailed on the vast ocean for many months as rain kept falling. Then the rain suddenly stopped. Noah sent out a bird to see if it could find a tree or some place to land, but the bird came back. Many days later, Noah sent out a dove. The dove returned with a leaf. This told Noah that the water had gone down and trees were starting to appear. Eventually, the ark came to rest on a mountainside. The flood was over. It was time to open the doors and let the animals out. As the doors opened, the birds fluttered out in freedom. The animals stepped onto the firm ground and went to find their way in the new world. Noah and his family stepped out and breathed a sigh of thankfulness to God. The first thing that Noah and his family did was to make an altar to God. They sacrificed to him and thanked him for protecting their family through the flood. God made a covenant with Noah. Then they saw it. A huge rainbow spread across the sky, painted in the most brilliant and beautiful colors that they had ever seen. It was a promise from God. A promise that he would never again curse the earth and destroy all living things with a flood.
Let's see if you can remember what you watched in the video just now. So our first question is, why were all the people so sinful? Why did they like doing stuff that was wrong? The people were doing the wrong thing because of the sin of Adam and Eve. So the whole world was living in sin, and they just didn't love God the way that they were supposed to love God. They were selfish, and what was important to them was much more important than to love God. Who were some of the only people who remained faithful to God? Can you remember? Noah and his family. Remember, he had 3 sons and all of their wives. What task did God give to Noah? What did God ask Noah to do? God told Noah to build an ark. So an ark is a big ship, and it was a ship that Noah had to build according to God's specific instructions. So God told him exactly how big it had to be, what type of wood it had to be built of, and all of those things. The next question is, how did Noah respond to people who laughed at him for building an ark? They must have thought he was pretty silly, hey? Do you think he stopped building the ark? No, he preached to them, and he told them to stop doing the wrong thing and to turn their lives over to God. But they didn't listen, did they? The next question is, has anyone ever made fun of you for doing what is right? So I want you to think about in your own life, has anyone ever made fun of you for doing something that you thought is the right thing to do, but they didn't like what you did? That's a little bit of a question that you can go and think about. How many of every animal did God send to the ark? We read in the Bible that God sent 2 of every animal into the ark. How did God flood the earth? How was there so many water? Yeah, God caused huge rainstorms and fountains underneath the ground to flood the earth. So there was just water everywhere. Why didn't some of the animals attack other animals while on the earth? So this is another thinking question for you. And I want you to think about all of the miracles that God has done in the Old Testament. Like, for example, when the people walked through the Red Sea on dry ground and God separated the sea for them to walk through. Think about the 10 plagues. Do you think that God will be able to prevent the animals from attacking each other? I think God had the power to do that. What did the dove bring back to Noah? The dove brought back a leaf. Can you remember what type of leaf? Where did the ark come to rest? The ark came to rest on top of a mountain, and they still waited for a very long time until all of the water was drained from the mountain. What was the first thing that Noah and his family did when they got off the ark? It's very important that they were so grateful to God that God saved them. They built an altar and they made a sacrifice to thank God for what He has done. What sign? Can you remember what sign did God give Noah that he would never flood the earth again with so much water that destroys everything? That's something that we see on a rainy day. Yes, it is. It's a rainbow. So our big lesson for today is we want you to remember that God delivers the faithful from His judgment. That means that God can save us if we are just like Noah was. Our memory verse for this week is in Genesis 6 verse 9 that says, Noah was a righteous man, blameless in his generation, and Noah walked with God. All of the things that we would want you guys to do. Be righteous, be blameless, and walk with God. I'm going to pray for us. Heavenly Father, thank you for sending your Son to forgive our sins. Help us to be righteous through Jesus Christ. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen. I hope that you all have a wonderful week, and remember to make good choices and to be thankful to God for everything that He is doing for you. And look at the example that Noah has set and walking with God, making sure that he obeyed all of God's instructions. Haere rā!